What's up guys, Shay Stevens here, PDGA number 77522, and today we're here to talk about elevation and how it affects your throws. The west side of my home course is known for its elevation change and slopes, and if you don't know how they will influence your shot, it can lead to a lot of frustration. General rule of thumb when throwing on uneven ground, always test your footing. If you have any doubts, throw from a standstill to give you better accuracy and more importantly, for your safety. So let's get started by taking a look at hole 20 for a downhill shot. When throwing downhill, you have two options. First, you can reach back high and follow through low and match the slope of the hill. But when you're doing this, you need to make sure that you keep the angle of the nose of the disc down. If that comes up, the disc is going to air bounce and it's going to be a really bad time. A good way to do this is to actually take your leading shoulder and drop it down low. So that way you're guaranteed to follow through low and not kind of pop up at the end. You also have to note that when you're throwing like this, the disc is going with gravity. It's going to be traveling a little faster, and it's going to behave more understable than usual. So you want to grab the disc that's, the next step up in stability that you would normally throw for the shot, or you want to take the disc that you normally throw, and you do want to add some hyzer to it so it'll, flip back up. Personally, not a fan of this style just because I have two tears in my shoulder. I don't like to mess around with that too much, and also I prefer to throw with a little bit of hyzer, and throwing downhill on a hyzer is a very tricky shot. So I like to go with the second option, which is you can throw a level shot. You just need to realize that because of the added air time this disc is going to have, the finish of the shot is going to be a lot more pronounced. So for this shot here, it's a straight shot to a dogleg right. So my play is to actually take a disc that when I throw it normally, it fades a little bit and then finishes back pretty straight. But because there's added air time, it's going to finish more to the right and towards the basket. So let's see how it goes.
And we're down there.
For an example of an uphill shot, we're at my drive on hole 18. Now I need to go uphill through these trees and get to the C-pin, which is sitting up on that rock wall. When throwing uphill, you don't have a choice. You have to at least match the slope of the hill. This means your disc is going to be flying up in the air, nose up, relative, to level. So that's going to cause two problems. One, because the air is going to be passing underneath the disc, it's not going to be traveling as far as it needs to. You're fighting gravity as well. So this means you're either going to need to throw your shot harder than you think or normally would, or you might even need to disc up. Another effect of that air passing underneath is the disc is going to behave more overstable than normal. So whatever that disc is that you need to throw a straight shot with normally, you are probably going to have to go to that next one down in understability. So that way, that added drag on the disc will stable that disc up and it will fly how you want to. So another thing to consider is when you are throwing uphill, your disc has less time for lateral movement, left or right. So if you do need to get up a hill and turn, you're probably going to need to go with something more overstable or understable, depending what you're throwing, than what you think. So for this shot, I only need to travel like 15 feet to the left. Normally, if this was a flat shot, I would throw an NV from a standstill, just dead straight with a soft, 10, 15 foot finish to the left. But because I'm going uphill and I need to get left in less amount of time, I'm actually going to be throwing a deflector with a run-up. Let's see how I do.
Whew, just off the rock wall. So, putt short, but I'm still inside the circle for a putt. I'll take it.
I think side hill shots are the trickiest by far, just because of the balance and footing issues that can arise. Here on hole 25, aptly named Hellbent, the fairway slopes to the left and actually leads to an OB line. So you could try to stand upright and fight against the slope of the hill, but that's just going to put your weight back over your heels, and that's really unpredictable for throwing. So the only recourse, I think, is to actually kind of lean into the slope a bit. So what this is going to do with your weight forward is you do have a tendency now to release early, and definitely you're probably going to throw it on a hyzer, which is going to send you to the OB, so it's a really good trap. You could try to throw an understable disc if you wanted to for a hyzer flip, but I don't really trust it, so my play is I throw the disc I want to throw, and I just aim 10, 20 degrees to the right, depending on the severity of the slope, and just let the disc naturally hyzer and fade into the line I want. So I am aiming for the right side gap in this fairway, but there is a small tree in the rough. That's actually my target. So I'm going to throw at that tree, just embrace the hyzer, and know that this is going to fade into the line I want.
So take a little bit of a right side rough. I overcompensated just a little bit, but still I hit my gap. I'm down the fairway, and I'm still in play on this hole.
For side hill shots where you're facing uphill, I think the corrections are reversed. So if you try to lean back and match the slope of the hill, you're just going to put all your weight over your heels, and if you somehow manage to keep your balance and get a throw off, it's going to be an anhyzer and probably not predictable. So the way to compensate is to lean into the hill. If you can do that and be 90 degrees relative to flat and that's comfortable for you, go for it. For me, I have a mental issue with it. I don't know, I just can't get over it. I'm leaning forward, so I'm thinking hyzer, but really the disc is flat, so I usually just mess up my alignment on the shot. So what I do is I overcompensate. I go past 90, really lean into the hill, and that puts the disc on a hyzer, which is my natural release, and I have a lot more success with that. Just know in both these situations, you're putting your weight over your toes, and you won't be able really to brace into your ankle and pivot like you normally would. So like I said in the beginning of this video, if you ever have any hill shots, take some practice swings, see what your legs are going to do, and if you don't trust it, throw from a standstill. And in this case, that's what I'm going to do. I could throw a overstable approach disc on a hyzer at this basket, but I don't trust that OB grass on the left, and again, the footing's a little questionable, so if I early release, I'm out of bounds. So instead, I'm going to take a understable putter, my beat up Envy, and I'm going to throw basically a little standstill hyzer flip right at the basket. If I early release, the understable disc should still keep me in play and still give me a putt.
That should be a drop-in par.
Alright guys, I hope this little tutorial on elevation helps. I'm sure I missed some points since there's a lot to take into consideration, but I think I hit the big ones. Just remember at your lie, take that extra time. Make sure you pick the right disc to match the shot, and take some practice swings. Always check the footing. If you have to, throw from a standstill, nothing wrong with it. If you haven't already, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. We're getting close to 100 subscribers, and when we hit that goal, I will be doing a giveaway for this beautiful Dayglow Special Edition Neutron Reactor. It's one of my favorite mid-ranges. Definitely check out my review of it if you haven't seen it already. Looking on screen here, it is a little darker shade of yellow, I think, compared to what's coming up on screen. But it's a real pretty disc, and that can be yours at 100 subscribers. Lastly, thank you to my sponsor for all your disc golf needs. Check out Berea Disc Golf.